Hi guys, it's Morgan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Volume 2 of Season 5 of Stranger Things. Now, if you haven't seen Volume 2 of Season 5 of Stranger Things, there will be spoilers in this review, so stop watching if you don't want to be spoiled. So, here's my review of Volume 2 of Season 5 of Stranger Things. I felt really sorry for Will when he was telling Mike and Joyce that Vecna didn't only take the kids that were with them, he also took the kids that were with Robin and Murray and the kids that were with Lucas. Since Will was blaming himself for not doing what he did sooner at the end of Volume 1, even though Will did the best he could, since he was able to stop the Demogorgons from attacking the people that he cares about, it was also really sweet to see how in awe of Will Mike was when he said that Will was a real-life sorcerer. When Henry was talking to the kids and telling them that they had dormant powers that he wanted to awaken so he could move another world close to their world, I felt like it was obvious that he was lying about the kids having powers, just because Vecna told Will that the reason he chose these kids is because it was easy for him to manipulate them into doing what he wanted. I also was worried for Holly when she asked Henry when he was going to leave again, and Henry told her that he would never leave the kids alone again, since it was clear that Holly was wondering how she was going to go back to Max if Henry was still there. At first, when Dr. K and the other soldiers went into the room where Kali was, I thought that Eleven and Hopper were just hiding somewhere. But then Dr. K realized that Kali wasn't actually there, she was just making it look like she was. I also thought it was funny when Hopper told Kali that she was the one he had to thank for introducing the word bitchin' into Eleven's vocabulary, and Kali said that she was a bad influence. I also didn't blame Eleven for being upset with Hopper after she realized that his promise to come home after defeating Vecna was a lie and that he had always been planning to die in order to defeat Vecna. I also didn't blame Hopper for how he reacted when he, Eleven, and Kali got to the church where they were supposed to meet up with Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan. But when they got there, Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan weren't there because they decided to come up with their own plan, and they went to Hawkins' lab. It was pretty funny how Holly and Max reacted when they realized that Derek had followed Holly into the woods, and he told them that he was now best friends with Mike, Will, Lucas, Erica, Joyce, and Robin, and that they had tried to save the kids, but it didn't work, and he asked them if he could escape with them. And even though Holly and Max told Derek that he couldn't come with them, Holly did say that he could help them escape. And it was funny seeing Derek smile after Holly said that he was going to have to drop delightful Derek because if they wanted their plan to work, they needed dipshit Derek, since it showed that Derek had no problem doing that. It's clear that the Sinclair siblings are very smart, since they both had pretty good plans to get Will close to the hive mind so he could defeat Vecna. Erica's plan was, since they didn't have Dustin, they could get Dustin's mentor, Mr. Clark, to make them a new tracker, which they could use to get in touch with the part of the group that's in the Upside Down. And Lucas's plan was that they could make their own hive mind by using the tower to shock one of the Demogorgons back to life. And even though Erica and Lucas fought over which plan was better, it was smart when Joyce suggested that they do both plans, since both plans ended up working. I felt really sorry for Kali when she was telling Eleven everything that she had been through since they had last seen each other. And I'm glad that they're reunited, but even though Eleven didn't want to hear it, I didn't blame Kali for coming to the conclusion that Dr. K is doing the same thing that Dr. Brenner did, and that she was trying to use Kali's blood to create more kids with powers like Eleven, Kali, and Henry. And since Kali's blood was actually killing the pregnant women that it was being infused into, along with their unborn babies, Kali told Eleven that the reason Dr. K is looking for Eleven is because she wants to use Eleven's blood instead, since Eleven is the only one who is truly like Vecna. I did have a theory that this was what Dr. K was doing, and I mentioned it in my review for Volume 1, but I also said that it seems like I was wrong about it, but now it looks like I was right. Things were definitely not looking good for Holly and Max, since Derek ended up betraying them after Henry threatened to kill Derek's family. So Derek ended up telling Henry about Holly and Max's plan. But luckily, right when Henry in his Vecna form was about to kill Max, Will was able to take control, and he told Max that if she could hear him, she needed to run, and Max and Holly were able to escape. But Will ended up getting stuck in Vecna's mind, and Vecna told Will that he was going to help him get to Max. Things were definitely not looking good when Dustin wasn't able to get through to Jonathan and Nancy to tell them what he found in Dr. Brenner's journal, and Nancy shot at what she and Jonathan thought was a generator shield that would take down the wall and would help them find Holly, But Dustin found out that Vecna didn't create the wall, science did. And when Steve asked Dustin what was actually behind the wall, Dustin said death. Dustin also found out that the Upside Down wasn't another dimension or another world. It was actually a portal between their world and another world, and that if it came down, it would take them with it. I was very proud of Robin for figuring out that Max, Holly, and Will were trapped in Vecna's mind, and she correctly theorized that Max and Holly were making a prison break, and she said that if they succeeded, they would be able to help them defeat Vecna, since they would have been in Vecna's mind, and they would know where Will is, know where the kids are, and know what Vecna was planning. It was also pretty funny when Mike asked Robin if she could drive, and Robin said not legally, and Mike said that was good enough, and told Robin and Lucas to take Joyce's car and don't get pulled over so they could go to the hospital and get to Max. And Mike said that he would stay with Will. It was smart of Holly when she told Max that Henry's traumatic memory involving the cave might be able to help them escape, even though Max said that they were going to stay in the cave until Eleven rescued them, since at that point Max didn't realize that Will was the one who told her to run, and she thought that it was 11, which is understandable. It was also funny when Holly was getting ready to go into the desert, and she asked Max if she was coming or if she was going to let a child go into the desert unsupervised. And Holly ended up being right, since even though they didn't see the whole memory, they did see part of the memory of when Henry was a kid and he found a soldier in the cave, and the soldier was panicked and thought that someone had sent Henry after him, and he ended up shooting Henry in the hand, which caused Henry to hit the soldier in the head with a rock, which ended up killing him. And even though Holly looked back and saw Henry open up a suitcase that the soldier had, she didn't see what happened after that. But this memory is a plot point in the play Stranger Things: The First Shadow. I was very happy to see that Eleven, Hopper, and Collie were able to get out of the Upside Down, and it was great seeing Eleven reunite with Mike and Hopper reunite with Joyce. I also didn't blame Hopper for thinking that the reason Eleven was having a hard time looking for Will was because Collie had gotten into her head. And even though Hopper told Mike not to listen to Collie when she said that killing Henry won't stop everything that's happening, I feel like Collie was right when she told Hopper that she knows that Hopper knows that she's right. And just like Hopper lied to Eleven, he was lying to himself. I was glad that Mike was able to get Eleven to tell him what Collie was talking about. And Eleven told Mike that there was a lab in the Upside Down, and that they're restarting Dr. Brenner's program, and they want to use Eleven's blood to create more monsters like Henry. But it was good that Eleven told Mike that she knew that she wasn't a monster. But it was also sad that when Mike brought up his and Eleven's plan to leave Hawkins and start a new life after everything was over, Eleven clearly didn't see that being a possibility anymore. But luckily, Eleven was able to find Will, and Will told Eleven that Vecna was going after Max. It was heartbreaking seeing Dustin stop Steve from climbing up the ladder by telling Steve that he would die, and Dustin also told Steve that he couldn't deal with it happening again, and he begged Steve to not let it happen again, since he obviously didn't want to lose Steve like he lost Eddie. So it was a relief when Steve listened to Dustin and they hugged. And then the ladder fell through the floor, and based on the expression on Steve's face, you could tell that he realized that Dustin was right, and he would have died if he had still been on the ladder. Seeing Dustin and Steve fighting was really upsetting, so even though this was a heartbreaking scene, I was happy to finally see them reconcile. Even though it took them thinking they were going to die to do it, it was good that Nancy and Jonathan finally told each other all the things that they had been keeping from each other. And even though it was sad, it was understandable why they broke up, even though they told each other that they love each other. But Jonathan told Nancy that he had convinced himself that if he proposed to her, it would somehow fix everything, but he knew that it would only make things worse. So he asked Nancy to not marry him, and Nancy accepted his unproposal. And luckily, they didn't die. Now, I didn't blame Vicky for thinking that Robin was on a drug withdrawal when Robin told Vicky everything that was going on, since it would sound crazy to anyone who hasn't experienced what the main characters have experienced. But luckily, while Robin was being taken away by soldiers and Vicky was following them and telling them that Robin didn't need prison, she needed a hospital, a Demogorgon showed up, which made Vicky realize that Robin was telling the truth. And it came in handy to have Vicky now know the truth, since she told Robin to use the intercom so Robin could let Lucas know the Demogorgons were coming and he could get Max out of there. And right when it looked like Robin, Vicky, Lucas, and Max were going to be killed by the Demogorgons, they were saved by Karen, who had also heard Robin's intercom message, proving once again that Karen is a badass. I didn't blame Holly for being scared when Max told her that she couldn't come with her since the way Max was going was the way back to her body, and Holly had to find her own way back to her body. But it was good that Max told Holly that in order to do that, she had to find something that connected her to the real world, like Lucas does for Max. And Holly realized that for her, it was Holly the heroic, but she told Max that she didn't feel heroic since she had just stood there while Karen was attacked and while Vecna was trying to kill Max. But Max told Holly all the things that made Holly heroic, and she also told Holly that thanks to her, Max was going to see her friends and Lucas again. And Max told Holly that Holly saved her, and that caused Holly to see the portal to her body. It was really heartwarming when Max woke up in her body and Lucas asked her if she was okay. It also made sense why Max couldn't feel anything since she was paralyzed last season. I also loved when Max told Lucas that she didn't even need the song Running Up That Hill. She just needed Lucas. And I also loved seeing Max reunite with everyone else. I also didn't blame Karen for wanting to go with everyone to save Holly, but it was good that Mike convinced her not to because of the state that she was in. But Mike promised Karen that they would bring Holly home. The fact that Holly made it back into her body and was so close to reuniting with Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, and Dustin, only for Vecna to pull her back, was heartbreaking. And I understood why Max felt guilty since she was so sure that Holly would be able to get out. But when Max told Lucas that she should have stayed with Holly and kept her safe, I agreed with Lucas when he said that they would all be screwed if Max did that, since Max was inside Vecna's head and she can help them defeat him. But Max said that she couldn't since she didn't even know where Vecna was keeping Holly. But then Dustin said that he did, even though he also said that getting there was going to be a challenge. And Dustin caught everyone else up with what he found out about the Upside Down, and everyone realized that Vecna's plan was to bring Hawkins and the Abyss together and create a new world. I know that the kids were being manipulated by Henry, but it really annoyed me seeing them believe Henry when he told them that Max was a monster and that everything she told Holly was a lie. But I also understood why Derek went along with it, since he was now scared of Henry, since Henry threatened his family. But Derek did try to convince the other kids that they should go home to be with their parents, but the other kids didn't listen, and they decided that they would turn Holly back to the light which is exactly what Henry wanted. But I was really proud of Holly when she tried to fight against the other kids in order to leave the house. But then the other kids stopped her by using her Holly the Heroic necklace to strangle her, which caused it to break, and Holly fell down the stairs. When I saw that happen, I was just hoping that once the kids find out that Holly was telling the truth, they apologize to her for the rest of her life. Steve came up with a pretty good plan when he said that they should let Vecna start merging Hawkins and the Upside Down together. And right when they're close enough and the radio tower is poking through one of the rifts, 11 will enter Vecna's mind and ambush him and stop the worlds from moving, which would give them a beanstalk they could climb into the abyss, and they can save Holly and the kids. But because of how strong Vecna is, 11 said that she wouldn't be able to get into his mind, which caused Nancy to get the idea that they could take 11 to the Hawkins lab in the Upside Down, and 11 could use the bath there. And Max told 11 that if she's able to get into Vecna's mind, Max can walk her through it since she knows everything about it. And Collie told 11 that she would go with her so 11 wouldn't be fighting Vecna alone. And Dustin's final piece of the plan was, as they're leaving the Upside Down, they'll set off a bomb and destroy the Upside Down for good. And I was just hoping this plan was going to work, since I don't know what they would do if it didn't. I understood why Hopper thought that Collie was up to something. And it was understandable when he told Joyce that if Collie tried anything while she was in Vecna's mind with 11, Hopper was going to pull 11 out of the bath and kill Collie. And since Collie told 11 that the only way to make sure that more kids like them can't be created was that they would stay behind in the Upside Down while everyone else left and be destroyed along with it, it's obvious that Hopper's not going to be okay with that. I mean, no one who cares about 11 would be okay with that. So I was hoping that 11 wouldn't agree to Collie's plan, but when she nodded at Collie when they were driving into the Upside Down, it seemed like she was agreeing to the plan. I was really proud of Will when he came out to everyone, and it was great to see how accepting everyone was. And even though he didn't ask, based on Mike's face, you could tell that he realized that he was the person Will was talking about when Will said that he liked someone, but they weren't like him. I do want Will to have a boyfriend, but it's obvious that it's not going to be Mike. And I know that people who want Will and Mike together might get mad at this, but Mike has never shown any sign that he loves Will romantically. In fact, there have been 2 main moments where Mike has been clueless about Will's feelings. One was in season 4 when Mike and Will were talking in the car, but Jonathan noticed. And the other was in volume 1 of this season when Mike and Will were talking and Robin noticed, which caused Robin to tell Will about Tammy. And I know that there have been some people that complained about this scene online since they thought it was random and was cutting into time that the characters could have been spending getting ready for their plan to defeat Vecna. But this actually also helps their plan, since Will also told everyone that Vecna told him he would lose everyone if he told them the truth, but since they all accept Will, Vecna can't use it against him anymore. Seeing Erica, Mr. Clark, Murray, and Hopper working together to break into the military base was awesome. And it was even more awesome when Nancy popped up on the top of the truck and started shooting at Dr. K and the other soldiers. And it proved how much of a badass Nancy is. And even though they killed all of the soldiers, Dr. K was left alive, and she saw Eleven and everyone else drive into the Upside Down. And I really hope that they're able to save Holly and the rest of the kids, because the last scene of Henry and the kids holding hands around the table and Henry putting the kids in a trance was really creepy, especially since Holly had blood on her forehead from falling down the stairs. Thanks for watching, guys! If you saw Volume 2 of Season 5 of Stranger Things, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And by the time you're watching this, the series finale of Stranger Things is already out. So I just want to ask, please don't post any spoilers for the series finale in the comments, in case people who haven't seen it yet look at the comments. And if you want to see any of my previous Stranger Things related videos, check out the playlist. And if you want to see my review for the series finale of Stranger Things, or any of my other future videos, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy New Year!